level.
I need you to take out that graph paper that you grabbed in the back. And age. Can you stop talking to guys, please? And that age structure assignment handout that was in the back. How many of you have seen age structures in a previous class? Anybody did an assignment like this one in a previous class? So age structures map out demographic trends. They tell you what's going on with the country. They divide a population on two axes. Please look up. Age brackets divided by sex. And demographic data is kind of old school, and they only count two sexes. And I think today we're mostly hip to the idea that that's a little bit reductionist, and there's some complexity not captured in this. But globally, different governments have different states of consideration, and this isn't about gender, it's about sex as assigned at birth, which usually locks in a huge number of humans. So we're going to forego the complexities of sexual determination and just call it male and female for the purpose of this activity. So boys and girls, different age brackets, and then how many? Like in a growing country, you've got more babies than old people. In a stable country, you've probably got sort of consistent population groups until they start to die of old age. In a shrinking country, you might have a decline in birth rates, for example. I get a lot of practice with this. You're going to need a lot of practice because it's on every single AP test. So you're going to make an age structure. That's not rocket science, that's the homework. And then when you show up on Friday, we'll talk about how we interpret those age structures. That's a little bit more interesting. I need everyone to please read, underline, bullet, and 1 through 5. Then put it on your head when you're done. And while you're doing that, please take one paper. They don't look the same. So even if it doesn't look the same as the others in the pile, just take one paper. They don't look the same. Just take one paper. Who sits right there? Is that empty desk? Okay. Not anymore. Who sits at this empty desk behind you? Gianna?
Yeah.
Anybody see her other than this class? Anybody see Gianna in this class?
I think so. She had a soccer game. Yes. Jose. Yes, she had a soccer game. She did.
And what does Chase say?
No, John.
Who sits here? Anybody see Ari? Ari, I'll show you. And Hayden and Chase, you'll probably want to perk your ears up at some point during this activity.
We're in the Middle East.
And did someone sit behind you normally? Once you've read that handout, please put it over your head, or put it on your head. Once you've read it, put it on your head. And please look up. You're all going to work on that sheet of graph paper that you have. We're going to use the big square side. If they're different, we're using the big square side. If it's different, you use the big squares. Some of you have two-sided paper, use the big square side. Next, please look up. Every person's going to do the same basic idea, and I'll walk you through it to make sure that we're all on the same page. I'll help you do this. You're all going to put male on the left, female on the right. You're all going to include a flag. You're all going to have age brackets of 5 years, like your data is broken up into 5-year chunks. And then each of you will have a unique horizontal axis. Who has China? In the 2005 data, so inside that pen box, what's the biggest number?
In the entire thing?
Inside that written box. See how I hand you the box? What's the biggest number?
For male or female?
Either. What's the biggest number?
672,717.
Is that inside that box?
Oh wait, no. 43 or 50, no. It's all scattered. 64,000.
Okay, and then look up at the title. Is that in thousands?
Yeah.
So 64,000, 64 million, that's right. So for you, if I wanted to map China, what is that? Men 15 to 20 or something?
I don't know.
10 to 14?
That was 15 to 19.
Okay, watch. If I wanted to map that on your paper, in order to get it to fill in my graph paper, in your case, I'd have to make this axis go all the way up to 64 million so that your biggest thing would fit, right? Who has Andorra? Nobody has Andorra? What about Jersey? Anybody have Jersey? You have Jersey? You have Andorra?
Yeah, I do.
What's the biggest group of people inside that pen box? The biggest number.
For 40 to 44, it's 3,078.
3,078, is that in thousands?
Where would it say that?
Right here.
Up at the title. I don't think it is. And that's men or women?
For men.
Men? So check this out. In your case, if you were mapping on that 64 million axis, 3,700 would be like 1,000th of an inch past zero. Because that's like 1/2 of 1,000th of that paper. Right? So for you, your entire age structure would fit along that midline, and we couldn't really see anything about its shape. So in your case, we need to make this axis be something like 4,000 or so to make space. Please look up so that everybody understands. You all have the same spacing, you all have the same format, requirements, title. You all have the same age brackets, but each of you will need a custom scale for the horizontal. It's the same scale left and right, from 0 to your biggest number. You understand what I'm saying? So, I'll walk you through this. If this is the problem we can solve, I have practice, I do it every year. If you have the US Census Bureau printout, wave it at me. All right, watch me. If you have the US Census Bureau, here's what you need to look for. First of all, is it population in thousands, population in millions, or just that number? Second of all.
Are there only certain people that are supposed to have that?
That's right.
Okay.
Second of all, notice that I've made a box that continues on the back. People do get older than 59 in Brazil. It's just on the back of the paper. Inside of my box, circle the biggest number. Now, circle your biggest number. So your horizontal axis needs to end up being just a little bigger than the biggest number. So this is your biggest number, and that's in thousands, so that's 9.66 million. Okay? Now, what?
I'm wondering if this is in thousands, because these numbers are very low and I don't.
This is a small country.
Okay.
Which one is it?
Anguilla?
Anguilla? Yeah, that's a very small country. It's a teeny Caribbean island. Now,
610.
if you've served, yeah, his biggest cohort is 610 people. Imagine how that would look on the Chinese spectrum. Now, those of you who have this data set, show it to me. Please look up, there's too many numbers. First, cross off this top line, which is the totals. Then cross off this axis,
The both sexes one.
which is the both sexes one. And now, please look up. In the remaining data, please identify your biggest age cohort. Like that. Now take out your calculator or cell phone. Ignore all of your notifications. I'm sure a lot has happened in 30 minutes. Take out your cell phone or calculator now. Do it. Everybody, take out a cell phone or calculator now. All students, cell phone or calculator. Find that biggest number that you circled. Divide it by 17. And then I'm going to ask you to show me the answer, and I'm going to tell you a number, and you write down that number. Got it?
I have a question.
What?
Is it supposed to be like the number that's written down, or since mine is in the thousand, should I
You
do?
just keep track of your zeros.
Okay.
So if you say 6, that's fine, and you just remember that there's 9 zeros or whatever.
Divided by 17, you said?
Divided by 17. Show me. 4,000. 15,000. 700. 55,000.
Oh, did you do the whole thing?
40. 4,000. 25. 160,000.
25?
200,000.
25, but probably in thousands.
275,000. 110. 10,000. 400,000.
I'm not going to be doing that.
50,000. 10,000.
Very good.
110. 2,500.
Oh, then I add all my zeros.
4,000.
80. 80
Write it down.
40.
I just wrote it down.
Do you have anyone that's over 100 as well?
300. 225.
I have 80 plus.
3,500. 6,000.
That's total.
100 plus.
Yeah.
8,500.
Oh, I so understand.
Somebody else? So divide theirs by 17.
Wait, Jose.
That's it? That's by 17?
I have
So make it 700,000. And you can write some good stuff. Who else is doing a paper for someone else? Yes. So that's her biggest? One step.
Yeah, it's
was this?
Jose, you want to tell
The zeros don't matter. Jose's 75,000.
Maybe
What, bro?
It's 200.
Make it 200.
Over 80.
Yeah, I don't know how many people are over 100.
Right. You know, 1 square is 600,000. Please.
Because if there's one, they would put
1 square is 600,000.
My total for that one is subtracted by 1.
Zimbabwe.
In Africa, like South Africa.
So?
Southern, not South, not China.
Which country is like that? In South That's inside.
Guess what, buddy? My friend Forrest. That's in Zimbabwe.
Now, let's get this done. So, now, you found the biggest number, and to make sure that would fit in half the paper, I counted the number of squares, and you took that biggest value, divided it by the number of squares, and I rounded up a little bit for most of you. So for most of you, let's say that your number was 600, please look up, and you can just ignore the zeros and put it all down in the title. So you can say population in 10,000s, or population in 100,000s, or population in millions, so that you don't have to write all the zeros every time. But if you had a 600, I would say number in hundreds, so you can ignore the zeros, and then I would say 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42, 48, and once you go all the way out to the edge of the paper, your biggest bar should be just a little bit smaller. So, take out your graph paper, look at the big square side, and crease it down the middle, hot dog style, like this. Hot dog, not hamburger, hot dog. 15,000.
Wait, where do you calculate this?
Crease it down the middle, hot dog. Crease it down the middle, hot dog. Open it. Find the vertical grid line that's closest to the fold and trace that with your pencil. Go fast.
Whoa.
That's pretty good.
Then, big square side. Make sure you're on the big square side.
They look the same.
Fuck.
If it's not perfect, I don't care, but hurry up with what you've got so we can move on. Please look up. Then, next step, go up about 1.5 or 2 squares and make your horizontal axis like this.
Should do it above the circle.
No, 1.5, 2 squares up. Don't get stuck on the last step. Let's move on. Once you have that horizontal line, please look at me. Please look at me. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. Make a few so you'll remember, and then we're going to move on. You can finish this at home. You don't need them all now. Remember, you're 1 through 4 until you turn 5. You're 5 through 9 until you turn 10. So these lines will all touch at those dividers. Now, get ready because here comes the tricky part. So far, everybody's going to do the same. Everybody's going to put boys on the left, girls on the right. Everyone's going to make a flag. Everyone's going to make a title. That'll be the same for all of you. But you're each going to do something unique. this axis. You start from 0 in the middle, and you're going to grow by the same pace in both directions, where each square is the number I told you when you showed me the calculator. So for you, what was that number?
4,000.
So for you, you would go 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, and the bottom you'd write in thousands. And what was yours?
375,000.
So for you, you would go 375, then you'd put 750 probably on the top.
And it'd be like 3.75.
In 10,000, sure, but it's just adding a decimal for no reason. I don't think that helps you.
Wait, if it was 4,000, wouldn't it be in hundreds if you were going like that?
Just keep track of your zeros so that they make sense, but that would be it, zeros. 4 in thousands. For 4,000?
Yeah.
That'd be 4 in thousands.
Then if you did a 40,
It would be in hundreds. Anyway, look, look, look. Each of your squares is worth whatever value I gave you in both directions, starting from 0. Who thinks that they're ready to go? Who has a question you'd like me to stop by and look at your paper? Let's go. Get started.
This is so ugly. This is really exciting.
You got this?
I was doing 4,000. What? I go up to if I need to go to
didn't you say
4,000.
you do 400,000?
No, what's your biggest number?
No, but I got the wrong number. I don't
Yes,
And
those are actually all
what's
the
your
numbers.
number?
So what was the
I
number
got
that I gave you?
That he gave you.
800?
Instead of
4,000.
No, your biggest
so
number is
you
that.
would
You have to go
be
up to
doing
that.
300,000
Or actually
with each
past
of
it.
those. So you could probably just make your squares 3 and then make your population in 100,000s.
Okay, plus 1.
So like that's 3. This is the 100, and the thousands was in thousands, right? And you're already doing this. You're good. Good, good, good. Questions? Questions? Anybody struggling? Who has struggles? Who has struggles?
Me.
2.
Oh God.
Yeah.
So
What is your struggle?
I feel like right now.
wait, so if I'm going up by
2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12.
to this,
Yeah,
and left, and that, up to what, 24?
it'll be in thousands, but 2, 4, 6.
to go to?
Wait, how did you get 16,000 down to 4,000?
Divided by 17.
So why are you doing it in twos?
Right.
It's fours.
Wait, we're
So
going
what do
up by
I go
fours?
up to?
No,
To 24?
Start with a
Yes.
4,
Yes.
8, 12,
I know,
16,
okay, I knew.
and it'll go up to that at the very end.
Wait,
Don't
now
have
what do I
any
do?
squares.
Oh my god.
Can I do and just do by
What
2
number
and
do I
just
have?
double the number?
This is so
Set
ugly.
off the right.
Wait, did I do this right?
You have the 2 boxes?
Wait,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't know.
I don't think I can go up
My
to that
number
number.
is 2,000.
Wait,
And so your
Why
biggest group
Wait, I'm
is
confused.
no, I'm already, no, I'm good.
259,000, and so 259 will be somewhere right there. Yeah, that'll fit.
I'm going up 4. How
Wait,
many?
before?
So what was your biggest number? What was your number?
You have to get up to 70
Yeah, that's fine.
by
So I can end it on
4.
262.
For
275?
some reason, my brain's working. I have rules.
Thank you.
It's gonna be like over here
Oh,
somewhere.
y'all singing Moana right
Yeah.
now?
I feel like we did something
But
wrong.
you just said Moana.
Yes.
Wait, was this the number I gave you?
Yeah.
So that would have been in twos. You did it
I
in
just did
threes.
100.
Yeah, but you did it in threes. 3, 6, 9. It was 2.
Uh,
So it'd be 2, 4, 6, 8, and then it'd be perfect. 13, 30. Yeah, that'll go right to the edge. It'll go off the edge.
just,
Line 110.
Yeah.
How we scale?
How far do I have to go? Oh, one more.
Every 2 squares is 5. 2 squares.
Okay. Oh, you guys make basic
2 squares is 5.
Wait, wait,
How high up do we
Yeah.
so we feel what we feel on however many.
Did you go all the way to 100?
Yeah.
How high up do you go?
So smart.
2 squares. Every 2 squares is 5.
Every 2 squares is 5.
Children, I'm trying to figure out why half of you got this right and half of you got this wrong. Please look up. Every 2 squares is 5.
Every 2?
You didn't actually say that.
Yeah, you never said that.
He showed us though.
How did
I couldn't see. How do you see? Because you were away.
You
You're
can't
like
see that
this.
from here.
You're like this, gay. You're like too
What?
much sauce in it. I can't see that.
This gay?
This gay. You're like this, comma, gay.
This comma gay?
Gay.
Oh, okay. I guess.
The mind hears what the mind wants, huh, bud?
Two squares is 5. 2 squares is 5. You should just make sure that she knows the horizontal scale.
Me trying to figure out like what
No, you have it.
Hey, you're trying to.
12, 16.
Well, look at this side and then look at this side.
Crumple it up, figure it out.
Very nice. Symmetrical.
Anybody else? Are we there?
I was like, China has a lot of people. How am I gonna?
That's not right.
How am I going to fit the names of the male and the
China has a
female
lot of
and
people.
still have it like
Names?
this? You said we have to put male and female on the thing.
Yes.
That's
We'll
not
put it at the
right.
top where there's not as many old people. You'll be okay.
He like wrote it right in the middle.
So children,
Do we need
please look up now. If everything went according to plan, your biggest age cohort should be just a little bit smaller than your furthest
This is brown.
population number. So, what was your scale?
It was 2,500.
So times 17, it's like 425.
That's
Wait, times 17?
No.
Divided by 7.
That's about 40,000 people. It would
Oh,
be
per
my
square.
highest. It would be my highest.
Okay, so your highest was about 40,000.
Yeah.
So your thing went out to about 40,000.
So, yeah. Well,
So-
my technically my highest was 38,000, but with your thing,
Round.
it goes up to 40,000.
Bingo. So watch, it worked for her. Watch this.
Same way this way too, right?
Her biggest was 40,000, and her actually biggest number was 38,000. All the other ones will be a little bit smaller. Then she's gonna pick a flag. She's gonna hopefully figure out the right colors for the flag, and I think it looks nice when your cohort bars are in the same color as the flag.
What if you only have 2 colors?
But if you don't want to alternate, or if you have a super boring flag, or if you just like rainbows, go ahead and add all the colors you want. Let me show you what you're shooting for. Please look up.
Should we round up?
Please look up. Remember that the information goes on the back. So they thought that Japanese people didn't go past 64 because they didn't see the information on the back. Please don't add unnecessary spaces. Each age bracket is 2 squares, and they touch. These kids did everything right except they forgot the flag.
Wait, so is that a final job? Is this a rough?
Same. We used to do them hamburger fold. The first time that we started using the flags. These kids, for some reason, started too high up, and so they didn't have enough space. That's why I told you that it's just 2 squares, because in some of your countries that'll go right to the very top. So every line is 2 squares. Please stop talking. This assignment is due Friday. It's really important that everybody brings one. If you have questions, if you're struggling, if you can't figure out what I've been talking about all period, please come see me before Friday. I need everyone to have this because our whole lesson on Friday depends on all of you doing an age structure. Yes?
So I know you want the title at the very top, but if you have like 100 plus, that goes right to the top.
Go ahead and get creative. I trust you. Who else? you have questions, I can help you. Who else? Yeah.
So on the census, it only goes to 80 plus. So then on this, when I get to 80,
it's gonna look a little weird, like a flag.
Yeah.
Because it's like 4 age groups lumped together. I've seen that before. We'll just do what we can.
Okay.
What else?
Wait, do I just?
Barely
Mine goes like 0 to 4, 5 to 9.
Everybody's does. Because you're 4 until you turn 5.
Oh yeah.
Anybody else?
Wow. When it says 80 plus, do I just like kind of leave it open or?
Yeah, you just
Oh,
make
that's
that a
long.
single bar. It'll just be a little bit longer than normal. What else?
Why you know a little bit longer?
Because it's gonna be, it'll look like extra people. Because it's 4 years stacked. It's 4 cohorts counted as one. So just make it 80 to 85 or 85 to 90, and then that'll, or 85 to 100 or 85 question mark, and then I'll go there.
Okay, so I'll just draw a question mark 2 marks out.
What's up?
Yeah, like, I guess if it goes by 5, and then once it gets to 80, it stops, and then.
2 squares and make it a question mark.
Okay, that's
What else?
I think 2 is
What else? What else? What else?
So bad.
Yeah.
So on the back you do the data analysis stuff.
That's right in front. What?
On
Yeah,
the back
I know.
you go with data analysis.
That's on the back.
Okay.
Anybody else?
I don't like these tools.
Yes.
Do we have to rewrite the questions on the back? Or can we just put
No, you can just write the answers. Who else? Are we all done?
Yeah.
Then let me bring back this horrifying data set for one last topic before you leave today. Check it out. In the time that you've been sitting here, our plane has grown by how many? 10,000 humans? Kind of exciting, isn't it?
kind of terrifying.
So exciting.
Yeah. Okay, bye-bye, children.
Like I ground.
Bye-bye.
Like it on the like I just have extra
What?
Mine is so freaking small.
I'm just teasing you.
It's 610. Not in thousands.
Jose, what do I do?
Mine only, mine also has to be. The whole upper cohort of 4 cohorts is like 250 people above.
Did you end up going on Tuesday?
yeah.
I went for like a hot second.
Yeah, I
So,
did too. I didn't
I
know
got the
anyone.
pictures.
I was there for like
I'm done with
an
the
hour.
I got this.
I didn't know anyone.